So, what exactly is the problem with buying a car with 0% interest and sometimes even 0% down? What's the problem, right? I want to buy a car. The dealership is telling me they're going to give me the car I want basically with 0% interest. Like, where is the catch here? By the way, I fell for this trick not with a car, but with a mattress a few years ago, and I regretted the heck out of buying that mattress, although I didn't pay an ounce of interest. And I'll tell you why in this video. But the truth is, in short, this sounds like a very good deal, but in reality, it is not as good as you probably think it actually is. So in this video, I'm going to basically expose it and tell you exactly how this whole thing actually works. Do me a favor and smash the like button so this way more people know about this. Now, the very first thing that you got to know is that most people are not going to qualify for this because you have to have an extreme good credit score in a sense to actually be able to qualify for 0% interest and also on top of that 0% down. So the main focus of this, the way I like to look at something is always, this sounds too good to be true, so let's observe it. Let's see exactly what do they gain and also what do I gain. Because by the way, no matter how good the salesperson is, how pretty they are, how good they are talking, at the end of the day, they're trying to sell you something. And no matter how nice they are, they're also trying to make money. Everyone is trying to make money in business because if they don't make money, they won't be in business for that long. So how exactly does a dealer actually make money here? What is their benefit? Because usually when we hear free interest, right, 0% down, it kind of sounds like this is a crazy offer. I'm going to get the upside of the dealership and just basically save a ton of money. However, that's not the truth. It's like a Black Friday deal when you hear the TV is off by like 50%, 30%, right? And what does that cause you to do? It causes you to walk in the door. So the first thing is, when dealerships offer these promotions, is to get people in the door and to move units that are basically very slow and they're actually not selling. Because by the way, a lot of these 0% interest loans, right? Guess what? They're not on all the cars in the dealership. They're on specific models and specific trims, right? You know that. So what models is that going to be? It's going to be models that are slower to actually sell, that are actually maybe not even selling, and this way the dealership gets them out, okay? And you might say, well, what's the problem with that? The problem is, there's no problem really. I wouldn't say that, but the big benefit to the dealership is I get to sell a product that's not selling a lot faster. That's their benefit. Now, if that's the car you actually want, then that's a different story, right? Because now you're saying, yeah, Tommy, they're doing that, but it's on the car I actually want, okay? So let's move on to benefit number 2. And it's basically going to be, they can actually charge you a higher price. And here's why. Because if you're actually going to offer somebody 0% interest, then that's money you're actually not going to make anymore. And since dealerships are for profit, in reality, they gotta get that money somewhere else. So most likely, they're not going to be willing to negotiate as much as it would be on the price of the vehicle. And more than often, they're going to charge you the sticker price. So I saw an article when I was doing research for this video, and they were basically saying that sometimes getting, for example, like an interest loan might just be better, because if you're able to buy a car for $20,000 with interest of like 4.5%, instead of, for example, buying a $24,000 car like with 0 interest, when you look at the math, you're going to save money like on the interest loan, because it's like you're spending more money on the sticker price, and that more money is going to be less that you're actually going to spend on the interest you're actually going to be charged. So one thing I would do is to be very careful with this, and you want to actually look at the math, okay? Where am I saving more money? Because again, they're not usually going to be willing to negotiate. Now, the third thing is this, guys. And by the way, obviously, the benefit to dealership is they get to sell something at full price. Although they give up, for example, like some interest in the end or whatever, they get to sell something at full price right now and make that profit right now and get more units and make more money faster, which is a big benefit to them. Now, the third part is, you can't have, for example, 0% interest usually with your lender, right? You can't go, for example, to Navy Fed, you can't go to Chase, they're not gonna give you 0% interest. It's going to be with a lender associated with a dealership. So this is actually pretty bad, and here's why. Because you cannot control the terms of the loan. And here's the catch, right? This catch has been done several times by different companies, and it's always usually going to be the same story. With the mattress that I actually bought, the catch was this, okay? You get to take this mattress home for $2,000, Tommy, a twin mattress. I got finessed, I got robbed, okay? I got robbed. I don't want to talk about it. And on top of that, you get 2 years to pay it off. It was like $40 a month. That's all you have to pay. But if you miss a payment, we cancel the 0%. If you miss a payment, we're going to charge you all the interest that's been accumulating, basically, okay? So it's pretty crazy. Basically saying that if I've been paying, for example, for like 19 months, and I have like 5 more months left, basically, and I miss a payment, all that interest has been accumulated for the past 19 months, they're gonna charge me. And I also lost my ability to actually get that 0% thing, okay? Now, most likely, it might not be like that, although you actually want to ask this and be very careful and make sure, because sometimes it is like that. But it's probably going to be, we're gonna charge you fees, and you're also going to lose the 0% interest, and we're also going to charge you interest. And to know exactly, well, how much interest are you going to charge me? And by the way, that was a $40 expense with the mattress, but usually on a car, it's going to be like a $500 to $700 expense. It's a lot more expensive. And you could miss a payment. And if you're not perfect, for example, that could cost you a ton of money. So for the dealership, it's a lot good, right? Because they know the odds are people are not going to be perfect. They're going to miss a payment, and they're going to be stuck paying interest in the end. Even people with good credit scores. That doesn't mean, for example, they never miss payments, okay? That doesn't mean that, all right? That's very important that you actually know that. Now, what's the benefit to you overall when you actually think about it? The benefit to you basically is you get to walk out of the dealership with the car you actually want. But the big downside is you actually walk out with a vehicle, most likely for a higher price, with terms that are not in your favor, and on top of that, maybe not even the trim or the model that you actually wanted. But most importantly, the big catch, the big is you actually buying something you can't afford. If you can't afford to buy a vehicle in cash, I'm gonna say it, you just can't afford to actually own this vehicle. And I know most people say, well, I can finance the car, it's no big deal, I can afford the payments. The idea of buying something that loses a ton of value over time and basically putting your money into it is not an attractive idea. So my advice would be this: buy the vehicle you can afford to pay for in cash right now. This way, you buy the vehicle you want exactly, you don't pay any interest, and you control the terms because there are no terms. You basically just pay cash for it. And by the way, when you're actually buying a vehicle, do your research, okay? Because you want to make sure you're actually getting what you actually need at first, so then later you can actually get what you want. What that means is, right now, my first car was basically a Toyota Prius 2009. Right now I have a Toyota Corolla 2017. But the car I would want is basically like a Tacoma, like 2020 or like 2019, but I don't have it. It's a very expensive truck. So right now, I drive the car I need to then, in the end, be able to drive the car I want, okay? And that allows me to save a ton of money, to be able to invest, to clear up my debt, to be able to have more money and all this other stuff, right? So then later, I can do the things I want, okay? That's the idea. Being in debt today is like not doing yourself a favor later, because right now you'll be happy getting this car, but then in like 12 months or like 2 years, your future self is not going to be happy about this deal. So it's like you're being selfish in a way to yourself. Guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope it actually helps you. Do me a favor and smash the like button. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, subscribe to the channel, and peace.